Hi, everyone. It is. I just did a real quick video of like a minute long or whatever. I'll upload that showing what it looks like at 5 o'clock in the morning here. It's like 23 degrees and it's cold. It's cold. Yesterday it was 22, and the day before that was 22. So today is probably like a degree higher, 23. Woohoo! But anyway, I just wanted to get on here and see how everybody is doing and see if we can see anything new. But you really can't see things new in this light. Maybe if I darken the light up or something, might be able to see. See if we can see anything different coming out of my face. Anyway, still got that white hand right there, the fingers. It's so interesting how they're coming from my temple this way on both sides, because you can see the fingers right there, but it's coming out of my temple. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if I told you about this, about the history of Osiris, and it's kind of interesting um, of Osiris. Um, oh, and we say Cyrus, but I think it's Osiris, because you got Sirius A and Sirius B, and then you got, I wonder if it's supposed to be Sirius O. Interesting, but it's Osiris. But they're all representing Jesus. Both of those guys are representing Jesus as one. And it's kind of interesting because the biblical story shows Jesus as being crucified on the cross. And then you got the Osiris story, to where it's kind of interesting because at the beginning, I think it's Cain and Abel. I think it was Abel and Cain Adam had first, Adam's first children. And I think Cain killed Adam with the stone. It's kind of interesting. And then you go to the story of Jacob, and then Isaac. Well, let's go to the story of Isaac. And then Isaac had two kids, Esau and Jacob. And Jacob's the one who tricked Esau, his older brother, out of his inheritance of the land. And then you got Jesus and Lucifer kind of like thing. One's a good son and one's a bad son, represented in that light. The white sun, the dark sun, I think that's what they call it. Which is interesting considering the racial wars that this world is always bringing up about the black and white colors. Interesting, right? And then I think it's in biblical time. I think that's why they have the book of Thomas not in the scripture, is because they refer Thomas, that was following Jesus too, that wrote down everything about Jesus, but he had a different perception. Remember, Thomas is the one that Jesus had to show where the spear is, and Thomas put his hand in where the spear was on his side of his thing. But the thing about Thomas is Thomas is being recognized by some literatures as the twin of Jesus. And then you have other places where John is the twin of Jesus. Now, I don't think it's John. I think because in Scripture, James, Jack, Jake is all resembling or going back to John. They're all names for John. Um, and I think John is being represented as Jack, the jack-o'-lantern, the light, the candlestick, possibly. Um, Interesting. But I think John is also representing the hypothalamus gland that has the pituitary and the pineal gland hooked at both ends of it like a pistol. And besides, some men call their privates John, or like going to the bathroom, going to the John. There's so many different things that our society does, but we got to try to look at all of it and try to pull it all together. I know I'm constantly thinking, looking at these names and looking at scripture and looking what they're telling us, because the thing about what I've discovered with Jesus. Oh, yesterday I was watching Y4 is a channel on Facebook, and this guy goes around. He's got this little fish in the fishbowl. It's kind of like the fish talks with him every once in a while through his goings, right? Through his teachings that he's discovering out, right? But it's the fish, right, that always talks to him on the side, jokes around with him and stuff. And the interesting thing about that is the fish. The symbology of that as well, because the fish is orange. It's an orange fish. Our sacral chakra is the sacred golden sun. There was another guy on there yesterday. Some other guy was critiquing his perception, right? So he's getting up there. He's got this really, nothing wrong with long hair, but total hippie guy. And he's talking about how Jesus is not right. Jesus is not the true God and all this stuff. And people are freaking out, right? Which rightly so. The guy that was critiquing him was showing everything in scripture and everything in other books that showed that he's wrong. It's really quite interesting how people in this world, everybody's got their own perception, everybody's got their own ideas, everybody's got their own way of looking at things. And again, that's fine and everything, but when you go around, I think the biggest problem is when you go out and you change people's perception and you change them to follow you. That's the wrong way. That's why we need to be sure of what we're teaching. And I know a lot of people don't follow me or listen to me. Some do. But, I think about that too. But then I also go from my heart. And then if I do get something wrong, it's like Jesus is telling me in some way, you need to look at this again, or he'll bring in another image in my mind or something to make it clear for me. And I always go back and, say, oh, I've discovered this, or, oh, I may have a different perception now, because that's the thing about life. We can't stick, like, if I look at the older crowd, they refuse to learn any more or derive from what man has told them and described to them. Instead of, as we go through life, we expand, we learn more, we build up, we change our thought, right? We grow, we expand more. Those who are refusing to change their thoughts, those that are refusing to look at it differently, those that are refusing to do the work, are the ones staying trapped in their own little box, in their own little personal Jesus, or how they see things, right? How they see God. But going back to what 4 files that this guy had online, he was talking about some type of, this couple had got this house, purchased this house, and they had this old computer in it. And they come home one day, and the computer went to a screen of a black and white screen with, a cursor on it, and this message come from somebody that's speaking in the older age, like in 1562. Well, somehow there was some type of timeline to where this guy back in 1562 has access to this computer that he calls the devil's machine, or the devil's eyes. And he calls it the devil's eyes because it's a computer. Then you got the guy in this timeline and the girl, and there was 3 of them in this timeline that the guy back in the old timeline knew about, and he was trying to figure out their language. He was trying to figure out who they are. He's trying to figure out their timeline. And apparently that guy from 1561 or 62 was communicating before these guys in our year to some guy or somebody in 2109. So whatever was happening was they were picking up the past, the present, and the future timelines, but the future timeline told the guy in the middle timeline not to get any information from the old timeline, or not to share information with the old timeline, because it will change the outcome of the future. So that's where they kind of left it. Well, they stopped all communications because the guy in the future of 2109 didn't want the guy in the present and the guy in the past to share their information. Because it changes the future somehow. I thought that was so interesting, because when we look at our future, we see what Scripture says. They're going to burn everything down. God's going to burn everything to the ground and all that kind of stuff, because we already know about the floods and stuff that they had. So it makes you wonder, where is the civilization? And did this civilization of the people on earth, did they flood into the earth, into the underground, in all these tunnels? I don't know, but it's pretty interesting stuff. I know, I'm just kind of jabbing along here, talking away, but trying to finish my cigarette and stuff and spend a little time with you guys. Hope you're all doing well and staying warm. Have a great day.